Eminem versus Jay-Z is very close for me, depending on what you value more. I think catalog and impact-wise, versus Jay-Z is very close for me, depending on what you value more. I think catalog and impact-wise, Jay is a level above him. I mean, if we compare their discographies, the only Eminem albums that are considered classics are the Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, and The Eminem Show. So 3 albums. Some also count Relapse, which I personally disagree with. Cause when it dropped, I was actually one of those people who instantly hated it. Even back then, people were under the impression that Marshall fell off. And I was one of them. Recovery and Marshall Mathers LP2 made it even worse, although some of the songs have grown on me over time. Jay dropped 7 enjoyable albums back-to-back between 1996 and 2003. Reasonable Doubt, Volume 1-3, The Dynasty, Blueprint 1, Blueprint 2, and The Black Album. To be fair though, Volume 3, Dynasty, and Blueprint 2 haven't aged that well, and most people wouldn't consider it his best work. But the other ones are classics to me. Reasonable Doubt, Volume 1 and 2, Blueprint, and The Black Album. Which means 5 classics in total, compared to Eminem's 3. But M wasn't the only rapper who had a weak comeback after a hiatus. Jay also dropped comparably weak projects like Kingdom Come, American Gangster. The 3rd installment of the Blueprint series was alright I guess, but nothing groundbreaking or special. It also sounded too poppy for me. Not a big fan of Watch the Throne either, it's overrated in my opinion. Magna Carta Holy Grail was terrible, but I enjoyed 444 at least. Although I have to admit that it lacks replay value. Just like Eminem's recent music. People say M fell off, but Jay did even worse in my opinion. Especially if you consider their lyrical ability and the aura they had in the late 90s and early 2000s. During those days, Jay sounded dangerous, like an imposing threat in the rap game. Like he could tear MCs apart in a battle and nobody really questions that he could lyrically defend himself. Jay nowadays sounds like a puppy in comparison. Maybe it's because he hung out with Kanye too much. But Jay early on loved the competition and battling. Had subliminal shots for everyone who stepped in his direction. For everyone who was at the top. When he said, "Don't be the next contestant on that Summer Jam screen," people took it serious and knew not to mess with him. Afraid of getting exposed or lyrically destroyed on multi-platinum records or live on stage. He was always killing it in every freestyle. But nowadays if you ask him to spit a Hot 16, this is what he does.
1 clap, 2 clap, 3 clap, 4 clap, this so fly. 5 clap, 6 claps, 7 claps, this so fly.
That was around the time he made that awful Death of Autotune song. And it seemed like he turned into a New York version of Kanye. With his surface level bars and songs that lacked depth. His delivery worsened, his slick wordplay was gone, his beats and overall music just sounded less and less like hip-hop and more like pop. And overall he just became way too soft to my personal taste. Eminem at least still sounds hungry, and you get the impression that he's still trying to prove himself. We all know that he could lyrically chop your favorite rappers into pieces in a battle. I mean, before they blew up commercially, they both were part of the battle rap scene. Jay-Z used to battle people on the streets, like his mentor Jaz-O for example. And he continued doing it all the way up to the late 90s, when he for example battled DMX behind the scenes. But all that is gone now. He's not the MC he used to be. But of course, as a billionaire, you don't have to care. I mean, he still drops dope verses every 2 years or so, but I don't think people are actually scared of battling Jay-Z in 2022. M, on the other hand, is still ready to battle the whole rap scene to prove himself. That's the aura he has and the impression I get when listening to his music. I mean, we saw it on Kamikaze when it dissed dozens of rappers. And even in their primes, you could tell that M is the more technically advanced MC and wordsmith. He clearly out-rapped him on Renegade, for example, even though Eminem had recorded his verses 2 years earlier and sent them to Jay, who had all the time in the world to record verses that are superior, but he didn't manage to out-rap him, even though on the same album, on the song The Takeover, he was belittling Nas for getting outshined on his own song.
You fell from top 10 to not mention at all. To your bodyguards, Uchi Wally's verse better than yours.
So he always had that competitive mindset to never get outshined, and it was one of his main priorities to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to himself. Or else he wouldn't have made fun of Nas on the same album. And Nas noticed that contradiction and used it against him.
You on your own shit.
He got outrhymed even though he had a chance to listen to M's verse first. It wasn't like they pressured each other in the studio to finish their verses as fast as possible, and that Jay just had a bad day. It was the opposite. Nobody pressured him, And he wrote it alone without any concerns. He can't rap like M, at least not anymore. Jay had the triplet flow first, all that fast rapping and tongue twisting with Jazzo before Reasonable Doubt, but over the years his flow just became lazier and lazier. And he's also inferior when it comes to vocabulary, punchlines, wordplay, double entendres, storytelling, rhyme schemes, expressing emotions, energy, and I think that's it. Delivery is of course debatable. M's delivery is like hit or miss, just like I explained earlier. Sometimes he can come off as corny and annoying, on other songs he sounds like he's about to kill someone, and then he has songs where he sounds like he's about to burst into tears. Jay-Z's delivery on the other hand is more consistent, although some might consider it one-dimensional. And I personally don't like the way he raps on his more recent projects. Jay has the better cadence, a better subject matter, beat selection, impact, importance of the culture, influence, more high-quality albums, and even better hip-hop anthems than Eminem. Jay would definitely win in the versus battle, although I have to note that Eminem's catalog oftentimes gets shitted on for no reason. Tell me for how many rappers you could do a top 100 list without adding anything mediocre or something that you don't like. M has so many amazing songs on every album, from The Outsiders, D12 and Bad Meets Evil Days, all the way until now. Of course for Jay, I could do a top 100 too. Rhyming together on a song or live on stage, M would outshine him in 8 out of 10 cases. A rap battle would be very close though, cause Jay can be very personal and direct. He definitely knows how to strike a nerve. The Takeover is better than any Eminem diss record I ever heard. But I somehow think that M would still be the victor in the battle. Against Nas he mainly addressed him getting out-rapped, his weak album sales, his fall from grace, had overall the I'm way bigger than you approach. Also the thing with Nas's baby mama Carmen, but all that wouldn't work against Eminem. The most damaging thing he could have done would be to pull up Eminem's racist tapes from the beginning of his career. Benzino did that in 2003, but nobody took him serious. He didn't have the star power of a Jay-Z. That's why the racist tapes didn't have that big of an impact on his career. Now imagine Jay playing those tapes as a skit on his album right after the Eminem diss or during the Summer Jam, just like he exposed Prodigy. That would have been the closest thing to a career ender that Jay could pull off. Would have loved to see what else he could say on a personal level, cause in terms of non-personal punchlines, M is probably superior. He was the highest selling rapper at that point, and Jay was always making fun of Nas's weak album sales. He became scared when 50 Cent was taking over the game with Get Rich or Die Tryin'. Told his crew members to release as much music as possible before 50 is too powerful. That was right before Jay-Z fake retired. Shady, Aftermath and G-Unit were taking over. So Jay wouldn't be able to belittle him the way he did Nas, cause album sales and popularity was one of his main arguments in his diss tracks. In the 90s though, M wouldn't stand a chance. But Jay getting outshined on Renegade and Nas making fun of it left a visible mark on him. You could tell that it's been bothering him ever since Nas said that line.
Eminem murdered you on your own shit.
You could see how Jay lost all his confidence over the years. And that was all thanks to Ether. I can see how M would make fun of it, poke him and use it as a punchline, while simultaneously getting the support from Nas fans. Prime against Prime, M was probably the more skilled MC. If you have a list with 100 different criteria for rapping, M would be superior in more than 50 of them. And some people also might deduct points from Jay for biting more than 50 bars from the notorious B.I.G. I covered that in the beef analysis for Biggie, Nas and Jay.
M to the is H, the most high,
which Jay-Z would notoriously adopt for his song
H to the is O, B to the is A. With Shizzle, my nizzle used to dribble down in VA.
Oh, that wasn't the only idea he took.
All nights I perform like Mike. Anyone, Tyson, Jordan, Jackson, action, bad guns.
Michael, take your pick. Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, Game 6.
Your rain on the top was short like leprechauns.
Your rain on the top was shorter than leprechauns. My brain on the top is long like marathons.
When the Remy's in the system, ain't no telling. Will I fuck 'em, will I diss 'em?
When the Remy's in the system, ain't no telling when I fuck 'em, will I diss 'em.
Cause I see some ladies tonight that should be having my baby. Baby.
Cause I see some ladies tonight that should be rolling with Jason. Jason.
Gon' blast sweet first, ask questions last. That's how most of these so-called gangsters pass.
Motherfuckers ask questions last. That's how most of these so-called gangsters pass.
Is it this great? Your flight leaves at 8, my flight lands at 9, my game just rewinds.
Isn't this great? My flight leaves at 8, her flight lands at 9, my game just rewinds.
On the road to riches and diamond rings, real niggas do real things.
On the road to riches and diamond rings, real niggas do real things.
Thug nigga till the end, tell a friend, bitch. Cause when I like it, then you go and fuck my friend, bitch.
know that ain't thug nigga till the end, tell a friend, bitch. Won't change for no paper, plus I've been rich.
Think about it while the streets you roam is donkeys and Christies in the fridge when you get home.
Think about it while the streets you roam is dog and armies in the bridge when you get home.
And throw down some ice for the nicest MC. Niggas know the stilo, unbelievable.
Take that ice up for the nicest MC. And please, yo, tell Big, he's unbelievable.
Thou shalt not fuck with raw C Papa. Feel 1,000 deaths when I drop ya.
Thou shalt not fuck with raw me or he. Face 1,000 deaths for Mr. Sean Corey.
A lime to a lemon, my DC women bringing in 10G minimums, the condos with elevators in.
A lime to a lemon, my BA women. Woke up with no low blinders cause my condo with elevators in them.
Ain't no other kings in this rap thing, they siblings, nothing but my children. One shot, they disappearing.
Ain't no other kings in this rap thing, you kidding? Nothing but my children. One shot, they disappearing.
The rings and things you sing about, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth.
So the rings and things you sing about, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth.
Ha 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 ha. Check out this bizarre rapper style used by me, the B.I.G.
Check out the bizarre rapping style used by me, the H.O.V.
How much of Biggie's rhymes is gonna come out your fat lips?
I'm not a writer, I'm a writer for myself and others. I say a big verse, I'm only bigging up my brother.
You don't hear me in every verse quoting his shit or saying, yeah, nigga, I rock with Biggie. Indeed. It wasn't like that, man.
Anyway, that being said, I wouldn't be mad if you had picked Jay-Z in this round. But it's very close though. Both phenomenal MCs. Semi